The Baltimore football team ambushed the Detroit football team 38-6 in what had been billed as a matchup of division leaders. It turned out to be a first-round KO. One punch. That's all it took from the Ravens to knock out the Detroit football team. The game was over midway through the second quarter. So Lamar Jackson had 357 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He finished with a near perfect passer rating of 155.8. Also ran for a touchdown. So let us discuss the question. Would you rather focus on the Ravens' dominance or the Lions' incompetence? So you know how we operate in these parts. The needle is pointing clearly at the Detroit side of things, without a doubt here. I've got Mirror, Walgreens, and Hotel Concierge. And we'll combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a headache, which I would assume the Detroit football team had, but maybe not when they were getting back to Michigan. So, first of all, we love Dan Campbell, the charismatic coach of the Motor City Kitties, and praised him, celebrated Dan Campbell. I gave him the MALLER curse, the curse of the Bambino, which does work on TV. I've noticed since I went into the TV world this year, got a TV show, Benny versus the Penny, I have noticed that when I praise someone on television, the powers invested in me as a person on the boob tube, that whoever I celebrate and give flowers to immediately urinates down their leg. Immediately. And the latest example would be the Detroit football team, as I was praising the simpatico delivery of Dan Campbell, celebrating how the Lions were different and it's not the same old Lions. And then they went out there and they were the same old Lions. Those are your dad's Lions. Those are your grandfather's Lions. Those are the Lions I grew up with. That's Lion football. That is the Detroit Lions there. And here's the deal. I do believe in Dan Campbell. I do. This game doesn't change that, but there is no excuse, zero excuse for the Lions to perform at that wretched a level. The Ravens put up 503 yards of offense, but the game was really over at halftime. They had 355 yards, I think it was, at halftime. Went 5 of 6, Baltimore did, in the red zone, 83% success rate in the red zone. Pretty much did whatever the hell they wanted whenever they wanted. So my theory on how this happened, how could this have happened? So my theory is the mirror theory. As in, mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of them all? And the Lions got caught looking in the mirror. They were admiring their accomplishments. They were celebrating their accomplishments. And they fell in love with the reflection coming off the mirror there. That's the only thing I could come up with. Because if they were trying, putting an honest effort in practice and in the game, there is no way there is an implosion. That was an implosion by the Detroit football team. It was careless. It was sloppy. Dereliction of duties. First 4 possessions for the Ravens. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. Lamar Jackson absolutely manhandled Aiden Hutchinson, and the Detroit defense kicked the snot out of him. And this is an example. The Lions have had a couple of games. Now this is the most outrageous outcome, but they had another game earlier this year where you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then the second part of this headline, we stay in Detroit on the headline, and we asked the question, what is your opinion of Jared Goff's performance? My opinion? What do you think my opinion is? The guy went out there and he rode the vomit comet, and what do you want me to say about the guy? And I actually enjoyed this, and here's why. Because we've got a lot of listeners all over the great state of Michigan who claim to be Lions fans. And you know who you are. I don't need to name names here. But a number of you have been sending me emails telling me that Jared Goff is God's gift to the quarterback position, and that all the nasty things I said about Jared Goff when he left the Rams, that I'm just a hater and that he has proven people like myself wrong. And that's the general theme of the feedback that I've gotten. All right, so here's the deal. This game right here is a trip to Walgreens pharmacy there, and you picked up your bottle of pills. It was a bitter pill bottle, and that is a bitter pill for those of you that are part of the Marching and Chowder Society of Jared Goff, because Jared Goff was actually getting some chatter for being an MVP candidate with the media. They were like, oh, this guy's an MVP. Then he played this particular game, and we can say bye-bye to that MVP. See you later. Yeah, forget about that. But this is a reminder. At any given moment, Jared Goff has the ability to cough up a fur ball. You don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen. It'll happen again for Jared Goff. This was, wowzers, was this El Stinko? Was this El Stinko? In the first half, the Ravens were strutting around like peacocks. And it was wild. Not just Ravens. They morphed into peacocks, and Goff was out there just absolutely drowning. It was ridiculous. Here is Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Lions, who says all the credit, all the flowers go to the quarterback of the Baltimore football team. Take a listen.
Lamar beat us. He hammered us with his arm, He threw the ball extremely well. He ran when he needed to, and we did not handle it well.
That would be an understatement. Jared Goff, the man that rode the vomit comet, he was leading the Lions right into the abyss. Here's Jared Goff, who says that they need to go to the laundromat.
Certainly I can speak for the offense. We got a lot of things to clean up, and it starts with me just being better and making sure the ball is going where it needs to go all the time. And everyone has their own thing to work on, I'm sure, but always can come back to me and make sure that I'm leading us the right way.
It's the robotic Jared Goff. All right, here's what I'm going to say to the media. We got a lot of cleanup. Everything will be fine. Blah, 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 blah. That's Jared Goff. Let me get this over with, and here we go. Get that over with. All right, final thought. Let's headline Indianapolis. Let's head to Indy. Kareem Hunt scored a pair of touchdowns, including the game winner. We talked about this game a little bit earlier, but I wanted to get back to this game. So Cleveland gets a Kareem Hunt touchdown with 15 seconds left. They get the win over Indianapolis, 39-38, the final. And even in victory, though, even in the victory, everyone is buzzing about the officials and the pyrotechnics. And what do we make of the Cleveland football team's defense that statistically was number one in the entire NFL? How do you explain Colts backup Gardner Minshew gouging what had been the top defense in the NFL for the Browns? So here's the deal. Gardner Minshew played the role of hotel concierge, and he delivered a massive wake-up call. And I was slightly concerned about this when we were handicapping the game because Cleveland got a big win. People were celebrating the Browns' defense because on a bad weather day with a bunch of 49er guys getting hurt, the Cleveland football team got a signature win over the 49ers. So here they come back out. They play a backup quarterback, Gardner Minshew. But even I did not expect 38 points from the Indianapolis football team. I did not have that as on my bingo card. But coming into the weekend, the Cleveland Browns had a historically great defense. Going back 50 years, they were number one in the NFL, as mentioned. We're allowing 200.4 yards per game. Myles Garrett and that defense were giving up 15.4 points per game. The Indianapolis Colts, with a backup quarterback who looked terrible. I was actually over Minshew Mania after the stinker that he put out on the field against Jacksonville, and the Colts put up 456 yards of offense. They doubled, and then some. The Indianapolis Colts doubled what the Browns were allowing, converted 75% of red zone possessions. So who are the real Cleveland Browns? Will the real Cleveland Browns please stand up? Because, man alive, what a hot mess that was.